What's going on? So the Supreme Court uh, basically nixed a 60s era Voting Rights Act, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, saying that states can't create districts based solely on race. And of course, that has the Democrats in the uproar because their whole platform is identity politics. So let's talk about that. So before we get started on that, I know it's been a minute. It's been a few months actually. I had to take a much needed break, but then a week turns into two, and then into a month, and then into a couple months, and then it becomes harder to get back into the swing of things. And so I've been hemming and hawing about this. The weather's been hit and miss here in Michigan, and so it's finally starting to break for the spring. And so I'm ready to get back into the saddle of vlogging and making these videos. As you see, there's my buddy Samson. He'll be 11 this year, so he's still rocking and rolling with me. Okay. So for those who continue to subscribe to my channel and who reached out to me to check on me, I want to thank you for your concern. I really appreciate that. And so yeah, we're back at it. Okay. And so for those who are familiar with me, um, I just do vlogging, usually in the morning. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get back to doing my morning devotionals. I'm trying to find my niche, as it's called, and something that I'm comfortable with doing. Okay, and so it has to fit, my lifestyle and where I'm at in life and my situation at home, right? So everything has to come into alignment with that. But I take daily walks with my dog Samson, and that's really how I started this channel, was just vlogging, sharing my thoughts on different things going on in the world, and my animals. Of course, they are my family. So let's get into it. All right. So the Supreme Court said that states cannot create districts based solely on race. And of course, the Democrats, that's their whole political platform, is racial politics, okay, identity politics. So I just want to speak on that because we know that they're trying to sell it to the black community that they're being disenfranchised, and it's going back to Jim Crow era, and they're taking away voting rights from black people, and so on. That's what the Democratic Party does, how they manipulate and control the black community, keep them on what's known as the Democratic plantation for their votes. Okay, being half black myself, I know my people. Okay, the black community are very emotionally driven people. Okay, it's just the facts. And so if you can sell a lie that that this is a racist thing, that they're targeting black people. This is all about taking rights away from black people and disenfranchising them and keeping black people from voting and not having representation and so on. We all know the litany of lies that the Democratic Party uses to control and to whip the black community into a frenzy so they can vote with their emotions and not with their logic, mind, right? A reasoning mind. So I just want to say, first of all, for my black community, friends and family, you're not losing any rights at all. You still have the right to vote. And let's just look at it like this. What black majority district over the last 60 years has prospered? Name one black controlled majority district that was carved out that the Democrats were using to for their representation in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. What black majority district has prospered? The school system is failing. Samson. The school system is failing. Poverty, crime, everything is still as high now as it was then, right? So nothing has changed. You know, we keep electing these same black leaders, and they do nothing for the districts that they're being elected to represent at all. You can look at Maxine Waters, Clyburn, all of them, these black politicians that have been in office for decades and just keep getting reelected under these districts and have done nothing to better their districts that they were voted in to represent in Congress, right? And this is a fact, you know. And so the fact that the Supreme Court said, you know, you can't create districts based solely on race because that is discrimination, okay? And for me, from my understanding, right, this is the best thing that could have happened for the black community. I know for most black people, you know, they're on their pro-black, too strong mindset first, and they see everything through the lens of being black. I understand that, right? But if you take that away and you look at it from a logical point of view, this is the best thing that could have happened for our community, okay? We shouldn't be voting based on race because somebody's black or they're a woman or whatever. It should be about on merits. Are they qualified to do the job, and are they going to Congress and to the House of Representatives and to the Senate and representing the districts that they're being voted to represent? Are they actually doing the work, right? And so that's what's important. And so I just want to keep that in mind and just share that bit of information. See, my neighbors here got something going on, so it's a little loud. I'm gonna come back this way. Samson, come here. Come on, well, let's go back down. Stop. Come on, back this way. All right. So there's my buddy. So he done got a little limp now. He's getting a little older. Like I said, he'll be 11 here in a couple months. So, but yeah, he's still grooving. Samson, over here. But yeah, so by stopping these districts based solely on race, I think is a great thing to happen for everybody, and for black people. Stop seeing yourselves as being separated, you know, by race. We are all Americans, you know. And if there is one thing that benefits you, it should benefit us all, right? It shouldn't just be separated out, carved out, based solely on race, right? And so I'm glad about this ruling. I'm glad that the Virginia Supreme Court shot down what they were trying to do in Virginia by gerrymandering their district to Democrats. See, that's all they have left, you know. They have no policies, they have no vision, they have no answers for the people. All they do, their whole political party is based on hating Donald Trump, supporting the illegals that they allowed to enter into this country by the millions, and so on, right? And so they, you know, and they know that they are losing support, especially amongst the black population. You know, their stranglehold on the black community has been wavering over the years, and they're slowly losing that grip. They still have a large majority hold on the black community. I know that black women still vote Democratic to a 90% rate, which is ridiculous. But black men are really starting to pivot towards voting Republican, right? Voting for the conservatives, you know. And what's so wild is that the black community, since forever, we are a conservative people. You know, we believe in God, a family, strong principles and values, right? And for the Democratic Party to be pro-abortion, to be pro-homosexuality, to be pro-transgender, to be pro-illegals, you know, all these things that are antithetical to a conservative point of view, and for black people to still continue to vote for this is just mind-boggling to me. You know, you're voting for your own replacement with these illegals and your own destruction with this abortion agenda that the Democratic Party is steady pursuing. And we know that black women have the most abortions per year than any other race, right? And that's a shame. You know, literally destroying yourself. And I was thinking about this the other day. The black Americans make up what, 13, 14% of the population here in the United States. It's been that for the last 100 years. It seems like the population hasn't grown, and that's because of mass incarceration and women aborting their babies, right? And so, you know, you would think that the black Americans, being foundational black Americans here in the United States, that the population would be at least 20% by now, right? You would think. But see, that goes from democratic policies that's all about keeping the black population down to where it's at for decades, you know. And so, yeah, you know, I don't make these videos to be on a racial thing. You know, I speak as a biracial man, of course, so I like to give both points of views, and I think I'm qualified to do so. You know, growing up, I spent just as amount of time with my black family and friends as I did with my white family and friends. So I know both cultures, right? And so I thank God for that, you know, that I have a broader viewpoint when it comes to speaking on racial issues. You know, I'm not going to just be all pro-black, too strong, and I'm not going to just be all white, you know, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I am one who will call out the black community for its bad behavior, you know what I'm saying? Because I love my black family and friends, but I love my white family and friends as well. So, you know, I speak as one from that point of view, right? And so, and just to wrap it up, I'm glad that the Supreme Court shot this, you know, creating districts according to race. That's discrimination. We don't need that. You know, that could just open up a can of worms. You know, we are all Americans, and we shouldn't be voting for people based on race or gender, right? We should be voting on people, the best candidate that's qualified, that's actually going to go and represent and do and work for the people, right? The district that they're being elected to represent, right? And so I think that's a great thing. And so I'm excited to see what's going on. Of course, a lot of states now that this ruling has come down, they're gerrymandering those racially created districts out, right? So a change is happening here in America. I'm excited for it. I'm just praying that this really just sets us on the right direction in this country, where we can start getting over these racial divides, because we are all Americans at the end of the day, right? Black, white, candy stripe, right? And so I'm not one who's just into that identity politics. Not at all. I don't agree with that. We are all created in the image and likeness of God, and we are all Americans here in this great country. And so thank you for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, and share. And until next time.